Namaskar and good evening to all of you. Let us start the program with welcoming the guest of this evening, Professor Prafulla Kumar Mohanty with a packet of books and also Gamcha. And I could see that very senior writer amongst us sitting here, Professor Suresh Rabindra. I request you to facilitate the guest of this evening. Okay, sir, please. Eminent scholar and critic, all the scholars who are assembled here, and the honorable friends of Sahitya Akademi. I am glad to welcome all of you for this literary forum. And Professor Mohanty will be talking about the iconic heroines of the great Indian epics. It is our pleasure to host Professor Mohanty, and this topic is universally appealing not only to Indians but scholars all over the world. Both the epics, great epics of India, the Ramayana and Mahabharata, have outstanding women characters, but seldom does one hear about other women characters barring Sita in the Ramayana and Draupadi, and to some extent Kunti in the Mahabharata. Both Sita and Draupadi form of most of the Harikathas, Jataras and volumes have been written about them in many Indian languages. I am not saying it is wrong, and of course they are great women and rightly deserve all the focus, but my point is there are great women in these two epics who deserve attention and praise. I don't want to take much of your time, so I will be very brief and I will give one or two examples from each epic and stop. Urmila, Lakshmana's wife in Ramayana, deserves as much praise, if not more, as Sita. Her sacrifice is great, but the space she deserves is far less. So is Mandodari, Ravana's wife. If we go to Mahabharata, we find less attention and discussion about Rukmini or Madhuri or Gandhari or Uttara. Vyasa might have written Mahabharata, but it is through the mouth of Rukmini did we get many extraordinary expressions such as Bhavana Sundara. At this moment, I would like to recall the critical inventory of Ramayana studies in the world compiled by the great scholar K. Krishnamurti, Ramayana traditions in Asia by B. Raghavan, reflections and variations on Mahabharata by Professor T. R. Sharma, the Mahabharata revisited by, again, a stalwart of great scholar R. N. Dandekar, all published by Sahitya Akademi, and out of which the first and last are truly iconic. When we go through such remarkable works, one would realize that these two great epics of India are not mere literary creations and have many cultural and historical lessons contained in them, especially the Mahabharata, that is both in nature and scope truly pan-Indian. I firmly believe that programs of this nature will go a long way in masses and scholars alike learning new things about these great two epics. Friends, Professor Prafulla Kumar Mohanty, an eminent Odia writer, critic and translator who has accepted our invitation to be here with us today. And he started his career as lecturer in English at Berampur University and also taught in Ravenshaw College and Kallikote College. He has more than 30 published books to his credit in Odia and English, including drama, criticism, short story collection, poetry collections and translations. He extensively delivered lectures at different universities, colleges, colleges and literary societies. He also edited a few literary journals in Odia and English, as well as directed, acted and scripted a number of plays. He has been the member of Press Council of India, Executive Board member of Odia Sahitya Akademi, General Council member of Sahitya Akademi, Academic Council of Utkal University of Culture, etc. And he has been the regular columnist in Sambad, sometimes, and editor of Weekly Samaya, and he is the recipient of Sahitya Akademi Award, Senior Fellowship of Ministry of Culture, Government of India, Godavari Samman, Sarva Sahitya Samsad Samman, among others. With these few words, I am glad to welcome all of you once again. Now, I request Professor Prafulla Kumar Mohanty to give his lecture on the topic Heroines.
Dr. K. Srinivas Rao, the most dynamic secretary of the Sahitya Academy, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and invited guests, I propose to speak on a subject which is not necessarily an analysis of the great Indian epics, but I would like to give a comparative worldview. The word icon which I have used in the topic, that is not confined to India only. They are not mere Indian icons. I would like to show that both Draupadi and Sita in the Ramayana, in the Bhavan and the Ramayana respectively are global icons. And before I begin, I must make a clarification. I do not consider the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, these great Indian epics, as religious texts. The Ramayana and the Mahabharata are pure literature, poetry and epic poetry. So with this, I would like to ask a few questions, not to you or to myself, but to the intellectual world in general. How do we say that a woman is great or a man is great? What are the parameters defining greatness in a woman or a man? Similarly, how do we say that this particular woman or this character in this epic is a great woman? There is no such definition. That's why I would like to make a few references to great statements, so-called great statements within quotes. George Bernard Shaw, you know, he was definitely a very great man, there is no doubt about it. The man who has refused the Nobel Prize. Do you know what was his argument? If I accept the Nobel Prize, you people will equate me with the others who had already received the Nobel Prize. I am superior to all of them put together. This was his argument. So, Bertrand Russell was sent by many intellectuals to request him to accept the Nobel Prize. And in the papers it came out, the headline was, by accepting the Nobel Prize, George Bernard Shaw has honored the Nobel Foundations. Not that he was honored. In Man and Superman, there is a sentence which will definitely disturb you, if not shock you. The creation of woman is the greatest blunder of nature. Can you digest this? The creation of woman is the greatest blunder of nature. Then I will make a reference to Simone de Beauvoir. I'm sure most of you, if not all, are familiar with The Second Sex, a great book written by Simone de Beauvoir. There she writes, that is the first book on, the most important book on feminism. She writes, one is not born a woman, one becomes a woman. One is not born a woman, but one becomes a woman. Now this is also a very disturbing statement. Okay, this world is a theatre of manifestations. This is a theatre of becoming. We come with our limited or unlimited life force and we demonstrate our prowess and we reach a particular stature. Now, there is no limit to that because the Brahmanic energy of which all human beings or all creatures are different parts, those Brahmanic energies in individual cases have limitations. Because from the same energy comes a Shakespeare, a Ramchandra, a Krishna, and even a dirty fellow. So, the time and space become the contextuality of the individual's existence to show his progress. How does he manifest himself? So this is a very challenging subject. Very often we make on-the-cuff statements saying, oh, he is a very good man. Okay, but if you ask him, like saying, oh, that's a wonderful film. But if you cross-examine him, why do you call it a wonderful film? He will start fumbling. Because it's very difficult. In the 16th century, somebody was great. But that greatness may not be recognized by people in the 19th century. I remember to have read, when I was just a boy of 19, a sentence. Nehru and Gandhi were high-sounding Latins. No, these are disturbing things I am telling you because we don't know how to approach our ethics. Now this third statement will disturb you, definitely disturb you, particularly the women. Eric Fromm, in the same society, the man who is famous for the fear of freedom also. Great man, great sociologist. Do you know what he says about man? What is birth? Birth means the rejection of the fetus from the mother's womb. How do you like it? This is the meaning of birth. Birth is the rejection of the fetus from the mother's womb. What is growth? Growth is the freedom of the child from the protection of the mother. And who is your mother? You have no mother. Your mother is your father's wife. Now with these ideas floating in the world, when we come to literature and try to assess the human qualities or the greatness of a Draupadi or a Helen of Troy, then what are the yardsticks? By what yardsticks do we measure? I think during the course of recorded history, we have become conscious of certain values. A woman means, we say a woman is cool, like the yin and yang. I am not going into those theories. Yin and yang, cool, who has the power to accommodate one and all. The woman is like the moonlight, and the woman is the divine productive machine. Because without woman, mankind is inconceivable. Human beings are inconceivable. If that is the idea. The second thing is love. The woman is the best lover. She loves more than man. And she has loyalty, devotion, and all those things. The Indians gave them the status of Devi. We raised them to the level of Devi. Many people would laugh, of course. Why do you use the word Devi? Well, yes, we do. We Durga Mata, we say Mata Saraswati, we say Goddess Lakshmi, Devi Lakshmi. We never use derogatory words by making references to these three women and other, even Kali. Even Kali, the destructive power, the destructive energy in a woman. Now, with this background in mind, let us look at the Western epics. Then I will come to our epics after some time. There are four major epics: Homer's Iliad, Odyssey, Virgil's Aeneid, and Milton's Paradise Lost. And much before that, there are Gilgamesh, but the Gilgamesh, the whole text is not available. Paradise Lost can be ignored because the avowed purpose of Paradise Lost is to justify the ways of God to man. So it means God can do no wrong, and whatever happens in the world, everything is fine. So we can safely ignore it. But we have to accept the modern view. There is know then thyself. You must know yourself. Know then thyself. Presume not God to stand. The proper study of mankind is man. So man is the measure of everything. In Bengali they say, Shunoho manus bhai, savar upare manus sabda tar upare na. So if man is the measure of things, then let us, I will focus on Homer's first epic, the area. We have one heroine. And who is the heroine? Helen. Helen is supposed to be the most beautiful girl in the world. And Marlowe wrote about her. Was this the face that launched 10,000 ships? Because there was a war with 10,000 ships. So was this the face that launched 10,000 ships and burnt the topless towers of Iliad? So she was beautiful. What is the meaning of beauty? Beauty at times softens your sensibilities. It inspires your creativity. But beauty also enrages you. Enrages you and excites you sexually. That's why people say, who is a woman? A woman is a sexual toy for bedroom acrobatics. These are very harsh statements for civilized ears. But we are familiar with such statements which come every day. That's why people say, don't blame me. In Chenchi, the father raped his own daughter. When he was blamed by his wife and people challenged him, he said, don't blame me. Make that God and devil who has made my daughter so very desirable. And blame the sexual instinct which has come to me. I never wanted it. I never knew how it came. So I am not responsible for anything. So such arguments have prevailed all over the world. And in the Chenchi, where you have it, by Antonin Artaud, there is a play, and also by Shelley, there is a play narrative poem. Now, Helen is supposedly a married woman with a child. But I am not going into the details. But she comes across Paris and immediately falls in love. Love at first sight simply means sexual attraction. Because you don't know what is inside a man or a woman. If it is love at first sight, it means the external form. That's why Shakespeare wrote, love looks not through the eyes but through the mind. Therefore, with Cupid is painted blind. Shakespeare rose a step higher. Looks not through the eyes, but those who look through the eyes, for them, woman is only a body, man is also a body, a shapely figure. She runs away with Paris to Troy. He had come on a business tour and he became a guest at the house of Menalius. Menalius' wife was Helen. They fell in love, whatever it is. And they ran away. It was an elopement. And then Troy was seized and the war and all those things happened. Now, why was the war fought? To reclaim the woman back to the palace. There was nothing called love there. But you know, Menelaus wanted to kill her towards the close of the epic. But when he sees the breast of Helen, he lowers his soul and takes her back. Now, what values are represented by this Helen? Yes, beauty is a value. Elegance, grace are also values. So she had only that value. But she could not manage any family. She caused a war, and finally Troy was totally destroyed, decimated to the ground. So how can we accept Helen as a meaningful personality of the humankind? She has no contribution. Come to the next epic, Odyssey. In Odyssey, there is another value which emerges. Odysseus returns through a series of adventures, but his wife Penelope with the son Telemachus waits for him. There were suitors who promised different things to that woman, but she remained chaste, did not seek alterations. That's why Shakespeare writes, love is not love. When alteration finds. Oh no, it's an ever fixed monarch that looks on tempests and is never shaken. So there is another quality in Penelope. So we appreciate that quality. Now let's come to Aeneid, Virgil's Aeneid. It's a continuation of the Aeneid story. Aeneas was a very handsome and intelligent person, and Dido wanted to almost capture him by sexually captivating him. She almost imprisons Aeneas, but Aeneas escapes, and she finally cries. That's all. What kind of woman is Dido? How will you measure her? So in the Western epics, we do not have any woman who is comparable to our great women in our epics. Now let's go to another stage. Let's come to the modern period. In the modern period, so you have, I refer to 3 plays. One is by Ibsen. Ibsen's A Doll's House. There, for the first time, we see a woman leaving the house. Why does she leave? Because her husband was fatally sick. They didn't have any money to save him. But her father was a very rich man who was not liked by her husband. Who was not liked by her husband. But unfortunately, to save him, she takes money from her father. But after he was cured, he was a banker and a very honest to a fault officer. He finds out the truth. How? He finds out the truth because he was blackmailed on this particular point by a villainous character. So he confronts his wife. The woman says, yes, I forced the signature of my father. But why did I do it? I did it to save you. You were dying. We didn't have any money. And I had to take money from my father. You may not like my father, but I had to take money. So, as my husband, your duty is to protect me. He refused. He said, no, I will protect only the truth and not you. She walks out. Now here, what you have a sense of honor and dignity in a home. But the situation is very limited from, say, epic considerations. There is nothing epical or magnanimous or majestic about Nora Krogstad. Now come to George Bonassau's Candida. In Candida we have a very powerful woman. Her husband is a priest, preacher. He cannot give any time to a very beautiful woman. And there is a boy of 18, Eugene Marchbanks. He professes his love for Candida. But Candida decides finally not to accept the boy, but to accept the husband. He says, my husband needs me more than you can ever need me. You are a boy. I am almost double your age. So I must protect my family and I must make my husband somebody in the society. So there is some value that the woman now comes up with some specific feminine energy to boost a fading spirit of a man. Now I will make a reference to Arthur Miller's After the Fall, which will definitely agitate some of the women, but most women speak that language. Quentin is the hero. Anyway, I have no time to go into those details. He returns after midnight. Every day he is late because he is busy with a lawsuit involving his own professor. So he is not able to give any time to his wife. So one day he returns from the park after midnight and tells his wife, Lois, I was in the park, a very voluptuous woman came to me, but I avoided her because I thought of you and I came back. The woman says, look here, Mr. Quentin, I am not your mother. Only mothers wait. I am not your mother. I am not your rib. That refers to Adam and Eve, because originally the frame contained 13 ribs, and out of the 13th rib, God the surgeon produced Eve. Anyway, so I am not your rib. I am a separate woman and you must respect me. Here you have a very modern value. And what is that modern value? That the woman is not your property. The woman is not your slave, not your mother. The woman has a separate identity, and that must be honored. So after this, when you make it, when I made a survey, I found there is only one woman whose historical validity is unchallengeable, that is Cleopatra. Cleopatra is supposedly a great woman, and some say one of the greatest women in the world. Now Cleopatra, when she was just 11, she was married off to her own brother, who was just 12. You know, palace intrigue and all those things are there. But I will highlight only her qualities. She had saved Julius Caesar, the mightiest world conqueror of that time. How? She knew about medicines. She knew about all different kinds of herbs, even at the age of 12 and 13. She knew about different snakes, different poisons, and she could lay his ears on the earth and can say how many horses are coming, what color of horses, and all those things. She was extremely intelligent, sharp in her mind, and also highly ambitious. So when Julius Caesar's shells fell on the library of Alexandria, she sent missives to Julius Caesar, destroy Egypt, destroy Alexandria, but save the library. So here is another quality which emerges. Then she meets Julius Caesar. No, I can't go into those details because she was wrapped in a carpet and she was smothered into the presence of Julius Caesar. The moment she sprang up from the carpet, Caesar had a fit. Caesar had epileptic fits. He fell down. But this man, this woman, this girl rather knew, well, what can save Caesar? She pulled out the knife of Caesar, which was there, and put it in his mouth. And he came back to his senses. He was foaming in the mouth. Caesar's first question, only question was, you could have killed me. Why did you save me? And look at this waif of a girl saying, I saved you because I want to give you a son. You have no son. How do you know? I know. Now how can you say that you will give me a son? Yes, I will give you a son. And the word Caesarean, comes from that. That is, when she gave birth to a son, there was a Caesarean operation. The Caesarean, that was the name. Anyway, then she becomes the queen of Egypt and twists around her fingertips two great conquerors of the world. Even Pompey could have come, but he didn't have any chance. Your Mark Antony, and after Julius Caesar comes Mark Antony. And the language which she spoke, the sprightliness, the sense of majesty which she demonstrated in her life, I think it is hardly visible anywhere else, even in the Bhavan or in the Ramayana. And if you go by Shakespeare's language, age cannot wither her, nor custom stale her infinite variety. So she was vast and various. And I borrow a few more lines from Shakespeare. When she decides to commit suicide, finally die, do you know what was her language? She was almost imprisoned. Next morning, perhaps, she would have been taken forcibly by Octavius Caesar to Rome. She decided to commit suicide. She asks her slave, or you may say, lady companion, Charmian, bring me my robes, put on my crown, I have immortal longings in me. I don't think anyone else in the world has ever written this kind of poetry. This is Shakespeare's language. But Shakespeare must have read something about Emily Ludwig if you read the biographies of Cleopatra. There are such references. So I found that here is one woman who can be compared with the epic heroines of India. Now let me come to Draupadi and Sita. You will ask, why not Sita first? It may be debatable, but I will speak because here is a learned audience. Although we accept that the first great epic or the first Kavya was the Ramayana, and we call Valmiki the Adi Kavi. There are historical records to suggest that the Mahabharata was written first. Then, of course, if you follow the Western scholars like Wendy, Donizer and others, where both the Ramayana and the Mahabharata were written between BC 200, AD 200. Because there were interpolations. And much before the written form, we had the oral form. In the oral tradition, both Ramayana and Mahabharata were written. Now coming to Draupadi, Draupadi was supposedly, that is, Mahabharata was supposedly Itihas, and Ramayana was Mahakavya. Now, if it is Itihas, no one till date has proved its historical validity. The Indian scholars have worked. Men like Supankar and even the German scholar Buchanan, well, they worked. But no one has established the Mahabharata as a historical document. Now, this audience, when I am going to introduce the birth of Draupadi to this learned audience, what will I say? She was invoked by Vedic hymns chanted by great priests of Drupad, and she came out of the burning cauldron of fire, the sacrificial fire, as a packaged deal, fully grown, beautiful, accomplished, with intelligence, everything. I don't think anyone will believe. Then how should we accept this? And in the case of Sita also, you have a similar history. Sita was found on the ground. Well, even if it is very harsh, to my own ears I will see, she was perhaps an illegitimate child abandoned by an unwed mother. I won't be wrong. But as I have grown up with certain traditions, with values, I will not speak that. I will accept Sita as the child of the earth. Similarly, I will accept Draupadi as the daughter of fire. Now, fire and earth are two of the most important elements. The earth is the display disk of everything, of nature, of man, and if there are divine energies, of divinity also. Nature is the display disk. So the earth displays. You dig it, have blasts, but it tolerates. We now have started speaking the new language, nature, in tooth and nail, taking revenge, and all that. But ultimately, nature accepts everything. Similarly, the fire is the only element out of the five which goes up, And fire also cannot burn. Fire goes up, cannot burn the earth. The earth, even if it is burnt after a few centuries, if it is so late, or after a few months and years, it turns green again. So these are symbolic of certain other values. And with this in our minds, we must approach the Indian epics. So Draupadi came as the fire energy. And as the fire energy, if she came, there must have been some kind of purpose behind her birth. And that comes out later in the scheme of things. Now after her birth, the next thing is Swayamvar. In the Swayamvar, you may say, and many scholars have argued, that Swayamvar was a royal tradition. Those kings who were important and somewhat rich, well, they had Swayamvars for their daughters. But I would interpret the Swayamvar as a choice given to the woman. The princess has the choice to reject. If you have the choice, if you are asked to choose, it means you reject also. Like women buying sarees, selecting sarees. They will reject 200 and select 5. So it's mainly for rejection. Similarly, here is the choice. It means the woman is free. We have to accept this and compare this freedom with the Western women. Did they have this kind of freedom of choice? A lot of the contemporary women, I am not talking about the millennials or the late 20th century women. But women of those times, did they have this choice? But something went wrong. What was that? Naturally, Arjuna was the conqueror. She could shoot the eye of the fish, which was moving well on a mast, and looking at the image of it on water, he shot the eye of the fish and he won the competition and whatever you call it. So naturally, why the Swayamvar was held in the Ramayana also when the same Swayamvar? It means these are women who are extraordinary. And these women cannot just be married off to anyone by the whims of the paradise. But there must be a public display of the beauty, the grace, the elegance, and other talents, if any, of the woman. And the woman is sitting there. The princess from all over Aryavarta, the kings and even old men, married men, when they gather, they show their prowess. But in the case of Draupadi, there was a kind of, you may say, a built-in ironical twist. It was Draupadi's Swayamvar for a son-in-law, powerful enough like Arjuna, who would avenge his insult by his childhood friend and all-time enemy, Drona. And that was very obvious in the textbook. He was not choosing his son-in-law for his daughter. And in any case, Draupadi was not the biological father of Draupadi. If she came out of the fire, then he was not the biological father. Whatever be. So he wanted a son-in-law who could avenge his insult and kill or bring Drona to him. Think about a woman who just came to this world, who never had any childhood. Draupadi never had any childhood, never played well on Jaguna mats, never had childhood friends. She has come as a full-grown woman, beautiful, intelligent, and with a sense of loyalty also. What thoughts could be going on in the mind of Draupadi? Earlier, before the Swayamvar happens, she had met Krishna. That's in the book. She had met in the Krishna and she had heard a lot about Krishna. And naturally she had, if not love, some kind of admiration for Krishna. And when she expressed her admiration, Krishna understood the whole thing and Krishna assured her that you will continue to be my Sakhi. And Sakhi doesn't have any ordinary meaning. Sakhi is not just a friend. Sakhi is, you may say, a soulmate, an alter ego. She was his alter ego and they maintained that kind of relationship. And Krishna, after the Swayamvar was over, told her, say yes. She said yes. And then what? Then all of a sudden, Kunti, from inside the house, said, share between yourselves what you have brought. And she was compelled to be the wife to 5 heroic characters. You know how difficult it is to live with one woman or one man. And this woman, in the history of mankind, is unique. This is not a case of polyandry I think Iravati Karve in her book Bhavan also brings this particular point out. Polyandry was not in practice, particularly in Panchala or in the Aryabhata. This is a different case altogether. And she must have revolted. And no one has made an analysis of the mind of Draupadi. Anyway, I have done, let me not speak about it, I have done it. Now, Draupadi definitely suffers. How can a woman divide herself into 5? Then she is exposed to the other political extreme. A kingdom is divided. India was divided in 1947 for the first time in the history of civilized world. A kingdom, a country was divided and another kingdom was carved out of it. Another country was carved out of it. Similarly, Hastinapur was divided and Indraprastha was given to the Pandavas. Now, if you compare Sita and Draupadi, well, they had similar situations, the same framework. But Sita, fortunately, married the best of man of her time. Best of man in which sense? The most sober, highly educated, extremely tolerant of even human follies, and the greatest archer of his time, a person of the most heroic temper, and also of a loving heart. So with all those qualities, it's very difficult to find a man or a woman. But Rama embodied all those qualities, and Sita was fortunate to get his hand in marriage. But what happened? After 6 to 7 months of the marriage, well, both her husbands, not both, her husband was sent for exile for 14 years because of political intrigue in the Ajodhya palace. And if you compare, Draupadi makes the Pandavas, the unknown Pandavas, the mendicants almost living in the forest, makes them princes again, kings again, brings them to royal authority, power and glory. But Sita, in the case of Sita, the opposite happens. And she voluntarily goes with Ramchandra to the forest. She was not exiled. She could have stayed in the palace like Urmila and others. But she chose, because there is romance in the forest, to move with your exiled husband. And she chose that. So she had a different mind. She was also highly educated. She was born, not born, but she was accepted by the Mithila royal palace. And there she definitely was exposed to the best of conferences, literary conferences, philosophical conferences, and all kinds of discussions and debates. And you know, one of the greatest things with Indian culture and philosophy is that we do not accept anything without elaborate discussion. The dialogue form in the Bhagavad Gita and everywhere, your Mundan Mishra and Adi Shankaracharya, the Samvad. So dialogue, only through dialogue, some values are accepted. So if you compare, one brings immediate good luck, the other brings bad luck. That's why many village women, when I was growing up, I was not born in a village, but Barampur of my time was not more than a village. The people used to say, Draupadi brings luck, but she is a warmonger. And Sita brings bad luck. don't bless anyone to become a woman like Sita. But today I will say something different. Now Draupadi doesn't bring luck or bad luck or good luck. This is the rise of Draupadi. Draupadi comes as an outsider as Sita did. Sita also is an outsider who enters the palace. Draupadi is another outsider who enters the palace. And both of them, that is Draupadi, rises in stature. The princess becomes the daughter-in-law of the Hastinapur royal family. And the husbands get their own kingdom. The disputes were somewhat resolved. And she becomes the queen. And then after what happens? The Rajasuya Yajna. Rajasuya Yajna, perhaps all of you know, comes from the word Rajaswa, that is revenue, and nothing else. Rajasuya Yajna means all kings were free to perform Rajasuya Yajnas if they were powerful. But a powerful king performs this Rajasuya Yajna because he can control other kingdoms. India was a country of small kingdoms. International war was going on all the time. And that's why Krishna played a different game, because he was the most intelligent and insightful politician also of that time. He wanted this Rajasuya and selected Yudhishthira because Yudhishthira was believer in Dharma. Dharma does not mean religion. There is in justice, in uprightness, in charity, in compassion, in duty. All these values comprise Dharma. Religion is a different kind of thing. And because of that confusion, we are suffering today. I don't mind telling this. We suffer because of the cultural civilization conflict which is built into the word Dharma. And unless we polish it in an intellectual manner, our future is not very glorious. Anyway, so the Rajasuya Yajna was performed. You know the details, I am not going into the details. So after the Rajasuya Yajna, what happens? She rises another level, another step. She is the empress of Aryavata. I am discussing the women. So she becomes the empress of Aryavata. But in the case of Sita, something different happens. She is kidnapped by a very powerful man who was born in India. Ravana was born in India. But he had his business and all that. And he was the ruler of Lanka. And if you say, why did he come? Just to kidnap Sita? No. We must have the proper perspective of the Ramayana also. He wanted to take revenge because his sister Surpanakha was defaced. And imagine a very powerful king whose sister is defaced and lives a demoralized life. Why should he take revenge? So that's why he sent earlier several people, but they failed. He himself came. And he was definitely of superior intelligence. Why do I say this? He was of superior intelligence because his Chhatkobesha, his deceit was not penetrated by either Ram or Sita or Lakshmana. They could not understand. We simply say, Maya di Ravana. Yes, but Maya is also a kind of knowledge. Maya is not illusion. Maya creates delusions in the minds of others. And Ravana was very well versed. So he was of a superior background. You know, he was a Brahmin, he was a scholar, he was a great Pandit. We should not have any mistaken idea about Ravan. Ravan was also a great man, a very powerful man. Now, he kidnaps. It means Sita is removed from civilization to the forest, and from the forest, well, goes beyond the country to another kingdom. And there again, she is imprisoned. But look at Sita. She loved her Ram. And she did not yield any other woman perhaps, a woman of, say, loose virtues. Might have agreed, oh, where is Ram? How can he come? Well, crossing the seas, and here is a very powerful man, rich, and let me live with him. But no. Sita almost challenges him. Well, what best can you do? You will kill me. But I won't die like that. Give me a sword. I am also a princess. And fight. So that is Sita. Up to the last moment, she did not bow down. She did not deviate from the path of her love. She was never disloyal, never thought about it. You know, Hanuman offered to take her back to Ram. She refused. Here comes the dignity of a woman, the pride of a woman. I always say, I have written in my own language, Rama won Sita as his wife by breaking the Shibadam. Now Rama must win Sita by killing Ravana, by punishing the villain who had kidnapped his precious jewel. But unfortunately, since he didn't go with Hanuman and there was a war, after the war, naturally, I'm telling this to the women, if you are in the shoes of Sita, you are in a hurry to rush out and meet Ram. She was not allowed. And if you read the text line by line, as Rama orders after a long time, give her a good bath, let him be dressed as a royal queen, and then bring her. And she must come not on a chariot, she must walk all the way. And there was a large assembly of, I would say, monkeys, for people who had monkey totem. A particular tribe which had monkey totem. I won't use the word monkey. Sugriva and Bhavan and Hanuman. They were also of a heroic temper. So in the presence of Lankans, in the presence of people from Kiskinya and India, Sita came walking all the way so that all eyes were focused on her. And this is what Ramchandra wanted. And that's why she wanted Sita to come all dolled up. Now, do you know what Ramchandra speaks to Sita? I did not fight the war to claim you back. This was when I read it for the first time long years ago. I was a bit shocked. I fought the war because I wanted to kill Ravana because he had hurt the pride of the Raghukulan, my dynasty, my clan. The pride of Raghukulan was hurt. That's why I killed him. Now you are free. In Sanskrit, the word prayosam is used. I have no use for you. You can go. You can live with, I said, love for, or even division. How will you feel? Even if you are not a woman, you feel revolting. Now here comes the balance of values. How will you assess the character of Ram here? Is he such a cruel person? Did he never love his Sita? Did he come to Lanka only for family pride? The pride of his clan? Was there no love in his heart? Yes, there was. And Rama was quite confident that Sita will pass all tests because he wanted that quality of Sita to be demonstrated in the presence of the whole of India. Let's say a cross-section of India and also a cross-section of Lanka. And that's what Ram wanted to be demonstrated. Sita also rose to the occasion. He said, okay, if I'm not no more useful, if I'm not wanted anymore, then let me put her into my life. Then I don't believe in that story of Agni holding her and giving. No, let's not put the idea of mythical divinity into such things. Fire did not burn her because of the integrity, the majestic idea of womanhood. So fire was also afraid. The fire did not light up, could not touch her, like Draupadi. Draupadi was never denuded. And that story of Krishna sitting with a million saris. That is what? Poetic exaggeration, epic exaggeration, to make it more mystical. She was of the fire energy, and somehow or other, he could not touch her. And she prayed only one person, Sakha, my Sakha, that is Krishna. My Sakha. And she could not be touched. And he fell down. That has been dramatized in several ways, and in the film, serial also, see it. So, my point is, the fire energy shows its worth of what metal it is made. Similarly, the earth energy shows another kind of metal. Earth cannot be burned by fire. It can singe it, but it cannot burn. Otherwise, the earth would have been burned long ago. So the earth energy and the fire energy survive the worst kind of humiliation that can happen to a woman. And in history and in the entire world, in particular, the Western world, the so-called civilized world, who are giving us norms and parameters of how to judge human values. Well, nowhere will you come across such a situation. So this is the greatness of the Indian epic. And then another question we have to discuss. Was Draupadi the cause of war? Many people say, and even the text also, there is a reference that you will cause the war. Two prophecies were made. At the Rajaswi, before the Rajaswi Yajna, Vyasadeva had predicted to Yudhishthira that after 13.5 years, you will be causing the destruction of all royalty, all heroism. And another prediction was made for Draupadi. She will be causing that destruction. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's ask this honest question. Can we raise our accusing forefinger at Draupadi and say that you are solely responsible for war? Was the Mahabharata war fought for Draupadi? My answer is a categorical no. The war was fought for kingdom, for land, for ordinary mortal values, not for great values or higher values like rescuing the prestige and the pride and dignity of a woman. You know how easily Hamlet could say to his mother, "Frailty, thy name is woman." A beast that lacks discourse of reason would have mourned longer, but the wedding dinner was served before the funeral meat was cold. How easily he could say it. But can we say that Hamlet didn't understand human nature? No. He is another great person. This was about his mother, Gertrude. But when he makes a reference to Ophelia, you know, even the Indian poets have never written like that. Do you know what he says? Nymph, in thy orisons, let my name be remembered. Nymph, in your prayers, let me be remembered. This is how Prince Hamlet spoke of his love. That's a different category altogether. But we never found illustrations of humiliation when women had been killed. Even Hamlet wanted to kill his own mother. He goes out with a drawn sword to kill his mother. So such things are there. And people did set in stone for such action. They allow. And women is not in the Abrahamic religions. Women, no, I'm not entering, I should be politically correct. I'm not going into the thorny fields. But in the Abrahamic religions, woman has not been given any higher place. I don't want to enter into a debate on this, but you may ask yourself, and you know if you read the text. But these Sanatanis have entered into all kinds of debates. At times they call the woman a witch, and at times a deity. At times they imagine Kali, and at times they say, look at this Sita. She has no rekha. She is her fate was written by the devil. But no, I will place Sita at a higher pedestal. What does Sita do and what did Rama do? Both made sacrifices. Rama knew that Sita was pure. And you know, I can't recall the book immediately, but I read somewhere that irony is the gift of the Western world to Indian literature. You will say nonsense. What could be more ironical than the date for the coronation is fixed and Rama is sent to the forest? Is it not irony? Similarly, when Sita became pregnant, no one knew. Rama looked at her when they were sitting in the garden, taking a drink of honey. Both were taking a drink of honey. And Rama looked at her and said, "You look somewhat different." Then seek and finds, "I am pregnant." Now have you told mother? No, not yet. But okay, both of us will tell her in the morning. But you know what happened in the night. Rama had a conference with his advisors and asked, he was, you may say, excited, thrilled, and he wanted to enjoy because he was going to be a father. And so he wanted to enhance his happiness and pleasure by listening to the information about the kingdom. Everyone said, great, great, great. One man, I am just forgetting the name, one advisor said, yes, people praise you, but there is one doubt in their mind. Sita stayed for so long in the Ashok Vatika of Ravana. How is it she is chaste? Now see, Rama was immediately silent, and he was in terrible inner conflict. If she accepts, because he knows that Sita is pure, Sita is absolutely perfect. If he argues, then people will say that he is arguing because Sita happens to be his wife. He is more fond of his family than the people. But the king cannot have family pride well displayed publicly, or family interest displayed publicly. I remember one Prime Minister of this country who did not show her tears even when her young son died. You know, yes, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, yes. She did not show her tears because a king cannot show his pain, his anguish, his sorrow, or even his handicap to the people. So Ram immediately decides, calls Lakshman, and you know, this what happens. So he makes a sacrifice of his private personal world. The king is only the king. You know, in that Mughal Azam, where I remember a dialogue between the husband and the wife, Akbar and Jodha. Jodha says, "Aap sirf Sehensah hai, Sehensah." That is, you are not a father. You are only an emperor or king. And he replies, "Aap sirf maan hai, sirf maan." You are only a mother, not a queen. But when you are in a position of power, for good governance, you must depersonalize yourself. You are simply a symbol, sitting on a chair or in a chair. Sitting in a chair, you are simply a symbol. So he suffers all the pain in the world. Never marries again, never has any relationship with any other woman, but does not bring back Sita. And what does Sita do? Sita loses her identity. Theoretically, she has no other identity now. Valmiki also tells everyone, don't ask any question about her identity, her name, or anything, her clan, family, nothing. Don't ask any question about her pregnancy. And in the ashram, there was perfect discipline. No one asked any question, nor did she voluntarily speak out to anyone else. What did she do? She sacrificed her world, which was given to her. She was an abandoned child. The abandoned child was rehabilitated into civilized society. And then again, finally towards the end, she becomes another abandoned woman. But the abandoned woman does not lose her dignity. Any other woman in the case of Sita would have said, you say this Ramchandra is a great king, such a benevolent king, such a powerful king, but look what he did to me. She did not speak a word because he was devoted to Ram. She loved her Ram, and because of that profound love, well, there was a sense of transcendence of the worldly self. So she transcends the world itself and becomes the earth who tolerates everything. And finally, look at the irony again. Then in the Zakya, Namisharanya, she is sent for, and Valmiki sends two of his disciples and they go there. Again the same issue comes. Rama tells Valmiki, I know she is absolutely pure, but how can I convince my people? And my people must know that the Raghupala is clean. I am clean, and my wife is also clean. And that's why she must give some kind of demonstration. She must make a statement or something. And my interpretation of the thing is, she said, I have nothing to say. If I have loved in heart, mind and soul my Ram, let me be taken away, taken back to the earth. And perhaps there was a kind of earthquake at that time, and she is enveloped into the earth. I will interpret it only as an earthquake. So perhaps there was a kind of earthquake, but she leaves behind her image. The Valmiki is very clear. I am not referring to the other Ramayans. Valmiki is very, not the 300 Ramayans. Valmiki is very clear that the golden image of Sita remained intact and her children were there. Sita was empty but full. Draupadi was full but empty. How? Draupadi was a mother of 5 children. All the children were killed. What did she gain? When they were going the idea of Swarga or okay. When she fell down, no one came. No one came. And Yudhishthira didn't even look back and said, no, she is not necessarily a good woman, and there are so many things. And if you read Sarala Mahabharata, you will go mad. So many bad things have been assigned to Draupadi. So my point is, both these women, one is full. She was a princess. Till the end, she continued to remain a princess. But during the period of the 12 plus 1, 13 years of forest life and 1 year of incognito, there must be a special study of that. Draupadi in the forest. What was she? She was mothering the entire world, the forest world. The birds, the beasts, that is, all insects and creatures were fed by her. She was given the Akhyapatra. That is, till she ate, the pot will not be empty. If she gives up, it goes on giving, well, it will be full. Only when she eats, it will be empty. That means she mothered the entire forest world and she mothered the 5 husbands. And one more thing. Do you come across any kind of discord, dissension, quarrel between the brothers regarding her? Did anyone have any complaint? That is, Draupadi was so vast that she could create 5 different worlds. The world with Yudhishthira was different from the world she had with Rama. That is, she was such a magnanimous woman that she could create 5 different worlds with 5 great heroes of diverse temper and diverse energy. And she rose to the pinnacle of glory, became the Empress of India. Finally, she had the realization that you come to this world alone. all relationships that are forged are only temporarily social relationships. But absolutely the individual is lonely and you are abandoned to yourself, to your fate. They go. And that is true of all of us. So she is a woman of great realization also. If you want to use the word, Greek word anagnosis, well, that anagnosis comes knowledge. The insight, well, at the end of her life, but yes, we are all alone. She did, and moreover, there is another thing. She was not confined to the palace all the time. She used to go out to the villages, did her charity, and she taught all women, and particularly the girl child, read, work hard, never submit to anything, never beg, even if you are in the most desperate condition. Don't beg. And Draupadi, if you analyze those things which are done in detail, after the scene, when Dusasana falls, there is the dice game and the aftermath. She asks questions of everyone. Particularly the questions she asked before she was dragged into the Kurukul has not been answered by anyone. The question is about the rights of women. She asks that gambler, Yudhishthira, did he lose himself first or me? If he lost himself in the wager, how can he wager me again? If he has lost himself, what right does he have over me? And this question, well, ran a new note in the Kurukul, and even the most venerable Vishnu did not have an answer. He did not have any answer. Iravati Kave makes a detailed analysis of it, but she somehow or other blames Draupadi, Balram. And Draupadi asks Drona another question. Well, you taught 105 princes, 100 Kauravas and 5 Pandavas. How is it? There was no friendship, no love, no sense of accord for each other. And these 100 you have taught, and these 5 who are helplessly, well, sitting here, bowing down their heads in shame. No one can raise his voice, well, for her. No one came to her rescue. And so naturally you come to the realization that you are all alone in the world. You are all alone. Not in death, in life also. So she loses her children. She loses her life with the realization that you are full but empty. That's why, the Isopanishad is said, everything is full. Purnat Purnamidam. Everything is full. Even emptiness is full. Shunyam is also full. So, that kind of character is Draupadi. And Sita is empty because she got nothing. Absolutely nothing. Except not beggary. But she lived the life of a sannyasini. But she lived with pride. She lived with a sense of dignity, a sense of honor. Everyone respected her, including Valmiki. Because she never surrendered her womanly pride before anyone. She could have gone to the Ajodhya court, accusing the king, or give me nyaya, give me justice. I am an abandoned woman for no fault of mine. No. She just kept quiet. And her silence eloquently proclaims to the world that she was a very dignified woman. So I take Draupadi and Sita like this, and these two are superior to all the women in history and myth created by the so-called civilized world, which all the time lectures at us. Do this, you have no democracy, you have nothing. So this is my contention. I will thank the Sahitya Akademi and particularly the most dynamic secretary of the Academy, Dr. Srinivas Rao, for this opportunity to share some of my views with you, scholars, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you.
This is a wonderful lecture. Of course, he has mesmerized us last 1.5 hours. Of course, he is a professor. He can give lecture for 4 or 5 hours. So, but in the beginning, I was a little bit confused what is happening. The topic is Indian economy, but he has taken first. He has taken us to Europe and all world view. Because he has that kind of vast knowledge, almost all classics and epics of the world he has read. So it is a kind of new dimension to us today. Professor Mohanty has given to us. It is a wonderful evening. It is time because actual lecture schedule is 45 minutes and anyway, but because since it is a very interesting kind of lecture and the ending was wonderful. And he made both women, Draupadi and Sita, in 2 different perspectives according to him. And of course, we should agree to it also. Not every one of you, but I. So I think now we will open this platform for just 5 minutes kind of question answer session. To very brief, only we should not go into detail. Only to the point what Professor Mohanty has given in lecture today. If anyone wants to ask some, if anyone wants to any kind of question, also he will answer. Just 5 minutes. Thereafter we will go for a snacks and tea. We will start. Waiting for last 45 minutes. Patiently, I could see her. I think 1 hour and yeah. I think this was when she started copying because because it is her subject too. Yeah, that is good.
Certainly the lecture was very, very informative, and the kind of comparison that you made with the Western icons to the Indian ones were really eye-opening. I have certain questions. You said that the date of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata is the same. So it is, I dare say it is a blanket statement, and we need to be provided evidence for it. For all we know, just a second, the Mahabharata is after the Ramayana period, that is what we know. Secondly, when you talk about these Indian epics, and you outrightly reject the idea of divinity, by living in a place, doing Rome as Romans do, like they say, by living in India, can we really reject the larger perspective of divinity in all of us? And that it is written in the beginning of the Ramayana as well, that Manushya Kriya karta hai, Ishwar Leela karta hai. So we all know that it was Leela, which is why Ram knew that Sita was pure. But he also said, I am a Maryada Purushottam. The best a man could be, so I have to prove to the world. So where is the conflict? Thirdly, when you compare the heroines or female icons of 2 completely different eras, isn't the comparison a little bit odious? Why do we need to go there and talking about who is it is a perspective, I would say. And also when you talk about Ramayana, you haven't not quoted, is it an Odia Ramayana? Because when you say Ram was having honey and Sita told him that she was expecting, it is not there in the Ramcharitmanas.
No, Ram.
Valmiki Ramayana?
Yes.
Which is
Valmiki Ramayana.
all right. So these
I
are
was referring to all the time to.
because many times you have taken a position of convenience. Once you say you reject divinity, then you say a certain sage had predicted that Draupadi will cause the fall. So this means you are accepting astrology and rejecting it. How is it possible, sir?
Astronomy and astrology were practiced sciences
Yes.
at that time in ancient India.
Also, sir, one last thing that I wanted to say. All of them were practicing yoga. So when you do yoga, you have mastery over the 5 elements, which is, I'm establishing your point when you said even Akademi was scared of, because she had mastered yoga, Chithir Jal Pavak Gagan Samira. So when earth, air, water, fire, ether are mastered by acute practice of yoga, there are certain siddhis that they acquire. Now we as human beings, when we cannot understand them, we totally reject them. That is not my position. We should accept.
Okay. I know all that because I am also grown up in a family where every Sankranti there is a kind of sacrifice. I am also a devout Hindu. But the moment I say, this is what God did, I can't understand it. If Krishna was God, how is it that he killed the best of heroes, the best minds, the best bodies, well, in 18 days in Kolkata? How is it he didn't save mankind from the evil? Okay, Jada Jada Dharmasya and all that, we say. But if we take them as divine, how can divinity not work in the interest of furtherance of life? Why should people suffer from diseases? That's why I'm not going into that.
That is the karma phala yojana. That is, even God cannot do that,
No, let's not bring in God here.
Let us not club the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So that's a humble request. Ram इंसान की तरह behave करे थे. Krishna पूरा divine avatar. Krishna was a Purna avatar. He was divine.
If you accept as divine avatar, well, who are we? We have to accept whatever happens. But the point is, I'm not.
What was really popping into my mind, sitting in a literary forum and looking at different characters, creative characters. We are looking at the Vedas, we are looking at Bhavan, we are looking at Homer, and we are looking at the others also. Now, all this, if you look at the concept of Maya, something, we believe in a world. Now, a world of a particular epic. And we are discussing epics. The world of an epic, there is one God, the creator of that epic. Homer was the god of his Iliad.
Yes.
Valmiki was the god of his Ramayana. Tulsidas was the god of his Ramayana. Sarvadas was the god of his Ramayana. Kalman was the god of his Ramayana. So they have presented their characters in the way they want. So our discussing something other than Rameshji was the god of Sholay, and you could discuss the character of Basanti and then try to find out this and that. Closer home, you could discuss Canada, which is not too far away from us in time. And Helen of Troy was too far away, Cleopatra away. Even in Cleopatra, all the dialogues, all the thoughts and all, they come from a world where Shakespeare was a god.
Yes.
Right? So the thought of bringing in divinity, actually you have to understand we are all divine. There is a divinity inside us. Keeping that aside, if you are looking at God and something, the God is always the author. So 3 cheers to all authors. And the God is
Good conclusion. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful evening. Thank you, sir, for taking your time. And thanks to every one of you for making this evening a very meaningful evening. I request all of you to join and take that we have arranged outside. Thank you so much.